What is going on, my friends? Welcome back to another video. It is finally time to start working on this beast here. I have a lot of nicknames in my mind. We've called it Stormtrooper before. I like to call it White Lightning, you know, anything that has to do with a white reference. But it's time to finally start working on this thing. Pretty much everything is here for the most part to kind of knock this truck out. Next big buildup on the list, getting built top to bottom. We'll go over it all. I got the powder coat sitting over here. I'll show you guys the color that we went with. What we're going to be focusing on is the fuel system first and foremost, and we'll get into that. Kind of just makes the most sense of where the truck is currently at. We do need to do some frame cleanup, kind of paint all that stuff, get this thing back up to 100%, even though only 28,000 miles on this G56 beast right here. We've definitely got some cleanup to do with all of this wiring in the truck from some gauges that are definitely going to be coming out regardless. Fuel system wise, this truck does have a FAS on it, and while that is zero problem, we run air dogs. But if a truck that we get comes with a FAS, I'm not going to go ahead and switch that just because, but there are a few things on the truck, the way it was done, the way it was installed, that we're just going to start fresh with a new fuel system. And if we have to switch, we're definitely going to stay loyal to the guys over at AirDog, which we've been with for forever. Like I said, no shade, no nothing to be worried about. Just gonna change it up, gonna freshen up. I have no history on that pump, and some of the lines look like they're already cracked and dry rotted, and we're not gonna play that game. We want something to be perfect. Probably pretty high up there, maybe top 3, maybe top 5 pet peeves. Filters hanging down this low is just an absolute no-go in my opinion. I can't do it, I won't do it, like just we'll never be okay or fly. So if you missed the custom brackets that I've made from a factory AirDog bracket, we're not gonna mount it the way AirDog mounts it either. We're gonna do something custom, but it's really not that bad for you guys to do. This truck being a 10 to 12 is a little bit different because it's a 2500, which means it's not a coil rear end like they did in 13 to 18. So it is a leaf spring 10 to 12 truck, which means it looks pretty similar to some other things that I've made this bracket with. So we'll get into that. Now, even though the truck only has 28,000 miles on it, the age of the truck, we always check and clean the fuel tank. It's always a mystery of what's gonna be inside the fuel tank, whether it's perfectly clean. You can tell people have gotten some bad fuel. I never do a fuel system without completely going through it all the way, low pressure side, all the way up. Because we have been doing powder coat things and stuff back here on the truck, we've already pretty much taken everything off to just lift the bed up. So instead of dropping the tank, we're gonna lift the bed. That's kind of the main point of what I was getting to. All the bed bolts are out because in order to take a factory hitch out, you've got to lift up the back of the bed to slide it out. All the bed bolts are already completely out. All the harness stuff is kind of dangling there. All we really got to do is undo the filler neck. And I got a new tool that I'm hoping will make bed lifting a lot easier. Not that we have a problem with my big fork extension, stuff like that, but I'm thinking if we could possibly simplify that. We'll see. TikTok Shop got me. You know, Viver over here is just completely running the world, in my opinion, with decent shop tools, built pretty well, but without the price tag. It honestly is pretty mind-blowing. The other big thing, stick with me here, is you've got a upgraded fuel filtration system with a FAS and AirDog, however you want to do it, right? It's got filters on it. Now, the way that this truck was plumbed, you've got your tank, your lift pump going through filters, the lines that run all the way up here, and this truck, specifically, the way that they had installed it, is still ran through the factory fuel filter and then to the CP3. So you've got a lot of filtration going on, and I don't think that's really necessarily maybe a problem, but if you've got good filtration down there, is that really necessary? Normally, we never do it like that. And again, I'm not saying something is blaringly wrong, but just some different ways that people do it. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna run a fleece fuel filter delete block for this truck. There you go, there's your part number. That will get rid of the factory bowl. We may go ahead and put a sump on it. I've used these sumps before, the AirDog sumps. It's got a dual O-ring kit. I've had good luck with these. They're black, they're sleek, they're small. You never really see them there. And then we're gonna go back with a AirDog, like I mentioned, 165 5G system. And this plate right here is what I normally make the custom mount for that will completely hide all of those filters, get it tucked up, get it nice. That's where we are starting on the White Knight here. We're gonna get this fuel system knocked out, and at the same time, we will be able to have access to the rear part of the truck, and we'll be able to clean that completely up and get that painted up and make it look absolutely perfect. I will also give you this little teaser here as well. I'm not sure why this is sitting on this table right here, but my discount code from Evil Fab Performance is actually live right now. So if you need turbos, anything like that, the 2G stuff, you know, you guys can get it from Evil Fab at a lower price right now. Discount code is available. No matter what kind of turbo you want to pair a kit with, they also have different options now. So if you're doing like a stainless diesel turbo, stuff like that, you can one-stop shop it and get whatever turbo you want from kind of a lot of different manufacturers in one-stop shop. Use my code, help yourselves out, but let's get to work. All right, got the truck pushed forward, got our filler neck disconnected right here. It's kind of interesting. These 10 to 12 trucks are quite a bit different throughout. We've taken apart our fair share of 13 to 18 trucks. I feel like I could honestly do it in my sleep, even down to the way the filler neck is connected into the bed, and there's kind of like a hidden bolt right down in there that you have to loosen up. It's just different. They were definitely trying and testing new things, but that is besides the point. Here we go. We got our new Weaver tool that I'm not sure if it's gonna make our lives easier with bed removals or not. We do take off our fair share of beds here. I do think I overlooked one important step of this, but I thought this tool could potentially eliminate a step. And our system that we use now does work very well, but you know, just like anything else in life, you got to be willing to try something new and see if it's better, or you know, if it was a great idea in your head that didn't really pan out. So what we got here is we have got a single hook point 4-chain sling McBob, and it's, you know what, here's what we're working with, not to be making a whole lot of noise. We've got one attachment point that is ovaled, you know, almost like it would go just like that, okay? And then you've got 4 equal hook points, and I was thinking, I'm like, you know what, that would be kind of cool to put in the bed, and we could just lift it up just with this. I'd leave it on the forklift or wherever. It would just be a one-stop shop kind of thing to hook up to the bed and not have to deal with the fork extensions and straps. A little bit of oversight on my part as far as like the tool working. Our new Weaver, you know, 4-in-1 hoist mechanism is just, I don't think it's gonna work for right now. I do think it's gonna work for a lot of other stuff, and it's not a waste of money by any means, because you know, tools can be used in a lot of different other areas. You know, I'm gonna find something else for that thing to be useful for. But the length of the forks, and granted, I'm probably too close to what I feel comfortable with, especially with picking up beds, them swinging just a little bit. It doesn't even come to the center of the bed. So this is not gonna work without the extension. The whole point was to get away from the extension. We're gonna go back to the extension, and I honestly, the opening in the Weaver, you know, fork part of this right here doesn't fit my, it's not really an extension, it's really just a rectangular heavy wall tubing piece, because they're this long because they fit underneath the sleeper of a Peterbilt. And with that being far enough away, I can pick up a whole sleeper and slide underneath the frame. That's why they're this long. They're heavy, they're cumbersome, they don't fit a lot of places. So, oh, hey, look, the powder coat color sitting right over there. Jamaican teal, guys, Jamaican teal on the white truck. Oh man, it's gonna be absolutely fire. I am squirreling like crazy right now, but as I'm showing you guys that, we'll get into all that, but just know this rig's about to pop. But anyway, I think we're just gonna get back to slapping the fork extensions back on it, picking this bed up. I've already wasted too much time trying to see if that new Weaver tool would be useful, but I will make that thing work for a lot of other things. But for now, we're gonna go back to trusty extensions and just get this bed off this thing so I can keep rolling. upon further inspection on the teardown, even just from taking the bed off, and again, this is a prime example of, if I'm gonna put my name on a build, we are gonna go through every nut and bolt. If it's been touched and it's not a completely bone stock truck, and it's kind of weird for me to even recommend, like, hey, if you're gonna buy a truck or used truck, I honestly prefer to buy 100% bone stock trucks. Not that things don't happen otherwise, but the more that people touch things, the more you just kind of inevitably find stuff. And again, no shade, no harm. It happened. That's not why we're going over this stuff. I'm not pinpointing this stuff out on purpose, but if it helps one person maybe not forget a step, or just kind of just make sure you cross your T's and dot your I's kind of thing, that's what this is for. It's to be helpful. First off, it did have a plug inside of the bed for like an additional wiring harness, but just do yourself a favor. And I was there at one point too, when I thought these were acceptable. Just don't. Just no. There are so many better ways to tap into an existing wire besides these, because these just create all kinds of problems. They are not weather tight. They are not acceptable on automotive anything. So refrain from that, honestly, in anything, not even just automotive. We've got a exhaust hanger right here that has broken off of this exhaust. Obviously, we need to go back with the stock exhaust anyway. You know, bone stock, we're putting everything back to stock. But if you give this, we're already hitting this leaf pack right here. So broken exhaust hanger, we'll have to fix that. It's actually cracked all the way up here. So we're just gonna go ahead and take the exhaust completely off. We're not gonna be using the shocks, so we're gonna take those off as well. The biggest thing, when I was checking the fuel system side of things out, and that's exactly, you know, the main reason why we're doing this, I'm like, you know, doing one of these, I'm like, man, that seems a little loose. So at one point, the fuel tank was out of this thing, which is even more reason just to check it, but the fuel tank straps on the front and the rear are both not tight. The fuel tank could have very well dropped out of this thing on the ride home. So we'll have to go ahead and tighten that up. Doesn't look like anything's damaged other than maybe just somebody forgot it. So on the fuel pump side of things, I think I finally reverse engineered what may have happened to this truck, because I'm looking at these fittings and I'm like, man, they are old. And that looks like an older AirDog fitting. I don't even know. I've never even seen this style fitting on a kit, either from a Fast or an AirDog. I'm like, man, that's weird. It's got blue hose on it, but I know the hose is kind of like cracked and dry rotted, but obviously you can see there is, let me grab this light. There is a fast pump on this thing, but I'm like, looking at the brackets, I'm like, man, that's weird. That is a AirDog style sandwich the frame bracket. So if we roll underneath the truck, and again, I've never even seen a Fast hang this low, even with fast brackets. Everybody does a good job of getting it tucked up a little bit further than this, but what it looks like is those are AirDog brackets, and that is just somebody, I think this thing at one point had an AirDog, and they switched it to this fast pump and left the existing lines from the AirDog on it, and kind of did it that way, because the age of the hose, this doesn't, none of it really kind of like lines up super well. We've got a little bit of a splice here, but you can see some dry rotting and cracking on this hose. So that's why, I mean, as you guys can tell, there is a reason why we are just going to start completely fresh fuel system wise from the tank all the way to the front. And it's going to be 100% perfect when we're done, and we'll be able to go over everything that I can put my hands on and see, and we'll make this thing 100% perfect. So a lot of little things that add up to something that, you know, could be potentially, you know, an issue down the road. The two biggest question marks is, what does that factory fuel filter look like inside of there? Honestly, maybe it doesn't even have one in there. What does that fuel filter look like in there? What does that fuel tank look like inside of it? So let's get all of this stuff kind of blown apart off the truck, inspect everything, and then we'll go ahead and start making this bracket that's going to hold our AirDog pump basically right about right in here. We're going to tie off of this leaf hanger right here, and that bracket is gonna make a 90 out here, and that pump is gonna sit right here up inside the bed, nice and tucked away. The wheel well liner is gonna protect it. It's gonna be away from all the road debris. Easy short connections to hook up to the sending unit, the sump, all that stuff, and we'll be ready to rock and roll. Whew. That would have been a thing on the truck. Goodness gracious. All this because I really just want to see if they remembered that there was another fuel filter in this system. Nice. It looks great. All right, do we have some catching up to do on the truck here? It's been a day or two and we have gotten quite a few things done, and I want to go over all that with you guys. So as you guys can tell, we have completely cleaned up the frame, painted that up. That is looking absolutely perfect. We did end up pulling the fuel tank. I didn't really want to pull the fuel tank, but it was just easier, way better access to get everything painted up, look nice. So inside the fuel tank actually was pretty clean. So the fuel filter on the side of the engine and the inside of the fuel tank was surprisingly clean, which no complaints about that. Clean fuel system. So went ahead and cleaned up the fuel tank, spent all the time to get everything washed and prepped, and basically we're ready to kind of put new parts together and go back in. We did find one big thing with the sending unit. This is the sending unit that came out, and as you can tell, sitting next to a good fleece sending unit here, all these pieces came apart inside the fuel tank, and I don't know if they were broken in there and just kind of like resting in place or when we pulled it apart, but as you can see, these parts are getting older. There was a crack in this piece right here, and it's also cracked right here where these rods attach to, and you can see it's got a springy motion, so the bottom of this sits on the bottom of your fuel tank, and that stuff I think was just kind of like age over time. As you can see, they were utilizing a pickup tube, a draw straw, if you will, that kind of ran down here. With this being broken, I really wasn't good with trying to like halfway fix this and put it back in. We went ahead, got a hold of the guys over at Fleece, which took a day or two to kind of get this piece in. This is a SureFlow sending unit that they make, as you guys can see. They make a SureFlow and a PowerFlow. PowerFlow has the lift pump integrated in with the bucket and all that stuff. This is a SureFlow, which is really just an upgraded replacement sending unit. Billet top. You guys can convert everything to AN if you want, or you can just drop this in a factory truck. Say your fuel tank reading is off, if this part is bad, or say your brake part's in the plastic piece or something like this. This is basically a drop-in replacement if you want to just stock or upgraded. Like I said, you can kind of convert everything on the top there to AN if you'd like, or you can plug your factory lines right back in that. But if you guys have an issue with a sending unit, like I said, these trucks aren't getting any younger, and plastic eventually ends up being brittle. We had a little bit of a failure there, and this will get us back up and running. We've got our bracket made here. As you guys could probably see, this used to be one piece, and now it has some extra holes drilled into it. Got that painted up. All this painting and cleaning stuff just takes a little bit of time. You guys will see the finished product, but that bracket is gonna go right here, and we are going to get that bolted up. This piece is going to sit just like that, and it's probably easier just to see when it's on the truck and completed, but that bracket is now made. We cut a line, we re-welded it at a 90, re-drilled some holes, and you guys will see the finished product there. Inside the wheel well here, you can see that we have our fuel filter delete block put in place, cleans everything up super nice. So the return side of the fuel system is pretty much done, ready to plug back in. And then our new feed side, when we get our lift pump and everything mounted back up, we'll go ahead and run all that. We'll run the nice new harness. We got all of that fixed up underneath the truck as well. Clean the back of the cab up, and we are looking perfect. And it's now time to put this beast back together. I think that was pretty much everything. There was a lot to cover. All right, my friends, we're gonna wrap this up very quickly here. I apologize for all of the talking. Let's get right into it. Lack of B-roll in this because we were just in get it done mode. So let's just go over everything. I'll show you the finished product for you guys to either listen to or not. Either way is fine, but this is just the way that I've done it and I have found great success with, and the way that this truck is set up and done. Also, forgot to mention Reaper traction bar mounts on the axle and the frame were done before we painted it. That way we don't have to go over and repaint anything. Got those weld-on tabs on there before all of the painting stuff. Honestly, we use Reaper traction bars on a lot of stuff. So great, heavy-duty, affordable bar setup. But AirDog pump is mounted. As you can see, got the filler neck back on here. I'll lift that up so you can see. It may look like the pump is mounted backwards because the label is actually facing in here. But if you look at the way that the pump runs, this would be the inlet, this would be to the engine. I do that way this line can run straight forward, and this line right here kind of lines up right with a sump if you're going to run a sump, or you can run that line pretty much right over there. But this way, again, the pump is mounted backwards, but it is line routing wise a lot cleaner in my opinion. I'm going to use a sump in this application. Line right to the pump, and again, once the fuel level is all the way up here, you know that fuel is already that much closer to the pump. This is your line going to the engine. This is your return from the pump. We've got that going into this location of the fleece sending unit. This is your factory return from the engine. So we got both returns going back on the top there. As you can see, you got the AirDog harness all tapped in. That's where it kind of gets its signal from to know that the pump needs to get turned on and such. So all the harness is run, got that nice and tidied up. These will be kind of finalized once the new batteries get put back in. We'll clean all that stuff up. And I will honestly disconnect that line and flush some fuel completely through the system before I hook it up to the CP3. I posted a picture on Instagram, and of course, number one, the biggest thing was people didn't think that you were going to be able to reach up into this location of the bed and actually get to replacing your fuel filters. And again, I've made this mount many different times. It's not anything different. You can service your filters exactly right here. Again, this looks pretty high up, but the bed pocket right up here, it's nice and tucked. It's out of the way of the bed. Trust me when I tell you that it will fit fine right there with the bed supports, all that stuff. You don't need to take the pump off. Honestly, if you wanted to remove the pump, instead of going like this and going up, you could just remove it from the bolts right back here. So again, it's still completely serviceable the way that it is set up exactly like this. And as far as leaf spring travel, as you can see, the mount is out of the way of the suspension cycling. But anyway, guys, that's a wrap. It is cleaned up. It is looking perfect. Absolutely clean slate for us to install all of the powder coat on. The whole entire frame is completely painted and it looks beautiful. The next video will be kind of getting this thing pretty close with all of the powder coat, all the rest of the stuff that's going on with the truck. You guys are going to absolutely love it. Appreciate you guys as always. We'll see you guys in the next video very soon. We'll see ya.